Today we want to talk about construction methodologies. How do we build a patio? There's a number of different pieces and components that go into proper patio construction, and we really want to focus on best practices so that we can have the greatest longevity out of the patio. So the products are only as strong as the foundations they're built on, right? So with a dry laid patio, we're using gravel as our foundation, gravel base. So we like to excavate down to stable soil and then put a compacted gravel base in. And it can be an 8 or 10 inch deep base of a gravel that will tamp and pack and become very, very hard. And then we use a very fine stone as a setting bed. This also tamps and packs very hard, and the stone or brick or paver, whatever we're choosing, can be set into that surface. Water can percolate down through it, and we can and the patio will flex a little bit with the freeze-thaw cycle in the winter times, but it will never go out of level. So that's kind of, construction is much better that way. If we see a patio that's been built and starting to look like it's rolling like the ocean, it's probably built on a sand bed. And the sand shifts and moves. You can't tamp it and pack. Very quick to work across sand, but it's not going to give you the kind of longevity we'll get out of a constructed base. One of the most important parts in the landscape is going to be the circulation as we move between different elevations. So as we're coming out of the house, we're typically a couple of steps off of patio elevation. We also have grade changes in the landscape where we have to create stairs and steps. And there's a couple different ways that we can create these stairs and steps that are going to impact budget as well as longevity. So for the greatest longevity, we want to think about form pouring concrete underneath whatever patio surface or stair surface we're going to build. We'll typically put piers down 42 inches deep, so now we're down below frost, so we're building this on a foundation, and we'll tie it into other constructed elements like your house or other masonry retaining walls to tie this in and make it a solid, stable, permanent piece. Now with the concrete as the foundation, we can surface over with any of the paving materials, mortar and grouting them right onto the surface, and now we've got a very, very long-term, super stable step or porch for transition. This particular project here, we have concrete retaining walls, masonry retaining walls on the sides, and our steps tie into those so that locks in very nice and tight. We have choices on thinking about riser materials and tread materials. On this particular project, we matched the house brick, and then we actually use bluestone as the treads, a little bit of an overhang with a nice bullnosed edge. So this is a real beautiful detail, really fits in with this house famously, and gives us some great structure. If we're trying to work on our budget and keep it down a little bit lower, we may want to consider wood for our porches or our step transitions in the landscape. We can build a wooden porch more cost effectively than a masonry construction, and it can still be a wonderful transition. So coming off the back of this house, we created a landing big enough to hold a barbecue, and then it was several steps that came down to the patio. We were even able to incorporate some theater lights in the step risers to give a little bit of illumination after dark, and that allowed that to work very well. Here's a transition on deck surfaces coming down to a patio, and again, a larger porch gives us that circulation. Both of those were built out of cedar, a very cost-effective wood that's still nice to live on. This particular project also had a wooden porch. This is actually Ipe, and Ipe is a Brazilian mahogany. It's a tropical hardwood. Beautiful oiled finish to it, gives its real luster, looks like a cherry floor when you bring it inside. And these porches will allow us to circulate and move comfortably down onto the patio and work on our budget a little bit. Another cost-effective way to create a stair in the garden is to actually use a garden step. And these are typically a natural stone. They can be an irregular slab or they can be a snapped step. We want to make sure our step risers are uniform and that our tread relationships work properly for it to be a comfortable stair. So these garden steps here are bluestone, matching the irregular bluestone in the walkway on this patio. Gives us a nice path to circulate down as we move from space to space. So as we're planning on a budget for a patio, we want to think, of course, about the design, really kind of the size of the patio. We want to think thoroughly about the material choices we're making, and then we also want to think about our construction methodologies. And the sum of those three decisions gives us our budget range for our patio.